My buddy Nick and I, we are both avid travelers, and we were both not the first users of Airbnb, but some of the first on the train. And for a long time, I was a huge fan of the company. They had a referral contest in Los Angeles, and I referred the greatest number of hosts despite having a 1 month lag because I was traveling using Airbnb during that time. And I was a huge fan of Airbnb because I could find a room in somebody's house that was much, much cheaper than a hotel room. And I would be hooked in to what was going on locally. And I would find out, this is not the way that everybody travels, but I would find out where to go, places to see, and I would just be more aware of what was available because I'd have a host directly to ask. And I was a huge fan, and sometimes I would get my own place. Oftentimes it was just a room, and it was cheaper than the hotels by a long shot. Huge fan. Then things started to shift. The customer service when you called Airbnb in 2014 was fantastic. The people were smart. They would communicate well. As time progressed, as they went public, the service that Airbnb offered in, say, 2019 was dramatically worse than what we had previously. And it was just the people were dumber. That's the only way I could say it as concisely as possible. Stupidity on the other end of the line. You could barely communicate with them. Then they got woke and they stopped doing what was fair. For example, we had a horrible Thai host in Thailand. We left the place very, very clean. We left him a watermelon in the fridge. He complained that we had left something behind. It was a whole watermelon because we couldn't eat it. We didn't touch it, so we left it for him as a gift, or whoever was going to be the next guest who wouldn't appreciate it. If you don't like it, throw it out. But he complained about that. And then he also stole a bag that we had left behind, and in the hurry to get out of there, etc. He stole the bag, and we have finally, after I filed a police report and complained vociferously to Airbnb, he left it outside in the hallway, and it was captured by security cameras. Airbnb didn't censor him at all. They didn't care. In fact, when in the review I called him an a-hole, they compensated him $500 for the emotional harm that I did and deleted my review, despite the fact that he was the one that stole our bag. And they put me through, I called repeatedly and was incensed and had to file a police report at our next destination in Thailand. And it was really a miserable experience. But the worst part was that they compensated him when he was the one that stole our bag and complained about us leaving a watermelon behind. Just insanity, in my opinion. And from that point on, we stopped using it. But the truth was that Airbnb used to be way cheaper, but it's become relatively uncompetitive. They keep raising the fees. They are public companies, so they're trying to rake in as much dough as possible. They're trying to maximize profits. Okay, that's your right. But when you raise the prices so high, when the hosts are as picky as this man was, that we can't leave a watermelon for him as a gift, and then steals our bag, it really deters one from using the service. Because I also used to host, and I used to love hosting people. It was a great thing to do, but they raised the rake that they would take from the host from like 3 to 3.5%, I think. Forgive me if I didn't get that right, but I know for a fact that they raised the amount that they take from the person that stays, which of course ups the price. And the advantage that Airbnb used to have, which was an unfair advantage in all fairness, was that they didn't charge local taxes. That, of course, has changed in jurisdictions all around the world. So prices have naturally elevated, and the distance between the hotels and Airbnb has decreased, and the competitive advantage that they have has dwindled. But when they also go woke and cancel their customers based on their political views, or even in the case of Lauren Southern, a conservative, they decided to cancel her parents' ability to use the platform for being associated with her. This is a fact. I made a video about this a while ago. And eventually they reversed it, but it shows you the mindset that exists inside the company. And frankly, I don't want to support a company that is like this. So if I'm traveling and the hotel is competitive, I'll just stay at the hotel and I won't have to deal with checking in with a host, et cetera, and everything, the little bit of friction that exists in doing so. And I don't even want to give Airbnb money anymore based on how poorly I felt that they treated me with the example that I gave you. I just feel horribly treated. I was a very frequent traveler. Oh my God, I traveled so much on Airbnb for years. I was just traveling around the globe. And almost every stay was via Airbnb, and that has ceased. I have not used Airbnb in a few years. In fact, if I can get around Airbnb so that they don't generate the fees, that's how angry I am personally with the company. I might try to do so because the company has left a very bad taste in my mouth, from their wokeness to their treatment of their customers like me, and from the fact that the customer service has deteriorated so much, and the fact that they've raised their fees to the elevated state that they are. My buddy Nick also states that you're expected to leave the place absolutely spotless. You're still paying a cleaning fee. For what? If you're leaving the place exactly like you found it, without a speck of dirt, and you're paying a very expensive often fee for the cleaning, everything is starting to add up, and the distance between Airbnb and a hotel has decreased dramatically. That's why I stopped using Airbnb. Peace.